Welcome, my friends. Welcome back as always. My name is Keith. This is what really matters. And spirituality, what it boils down to ultimately is understanding of self, the understanding of who you are, not as a person, but you have to figure out who you are as a person first, right? You have to know your sense of self, but then you have to fine tune it because you have to find out who you're not. That means a lot of the things that we carry within our lives that we've taken on as who we are, we have to get rid of those things and understand that they aren't us. First, we have to understand and unattach from these things that are negative or just not working in our favor in any way. And so we have to be very honest with ourselves and understand that, okay, they have things about myself that are good. And, not everyone's going to think it good, but to you, what do you think they're like? You have to be honest and be like this with yourself. I have these things right here that I see as good and beneficial for who I am and that make me who I am. Then I have these other things that I just assumed were me. Never decided to change them, never decided to look at them. But now that I'm looking at them with a more critical eye of, okay, are they helping me or are they not? That's a simple question. Are they helping me or they're not? And that could be anything about yourself. If it's not, let it go. If it is, okay, then fine, that's cool. But to really understand who you are and emotionally, because let's say you're an emotional person, and I used to consider myself a very emotional person, a highly emotional person, a highly sensitive person when it came to emotions. And to say that I'm not that anymore would be false because I am, because it's part of who I am. But it's been honed in now. So, for an example, before I knew that I was Source, before I knew that I was God, also personified, when I thought I was just a human living a human experience, when I thought I was just creation and not part of the creator, my emotions would get the best of me. And I would take up for the emotions as like that's who I am and that's I'm feeling these because there's a reason I'm feeling them, right? So if someone would do something to me and I would feel triggered and I would react to those triggers, I would the word's not take up for, but I would, yeah, I guess you could say it would be because I would take up for those emotions and the way I react because I'd be like, well, I'm feeling a certain way and my emotions are valid and that's how I'm feeling, so that's how I'm gonna express it. Although, even though I didn't have the wherewithal to know that, okay, but are they helping you or are they hurting you? Because whatever you think about in this life, whatever you put your mind to, whatever you put your attention on, you get more of. So little did I know I wasn't, I was reacting because my emotions were telling me a certain thing. So I would react and I'd say, this is valid. I can feel this way because that's how I feel. But I never dug deep into why I felt those ways. I never dug deep into the cause of the emotion. I would just accept the emotion for what I was feeling, and whoever was making me feel those ways, screw them because they made me feel a certain way. When deep down, I wasn't looking hard enough. I think the most important thing is having awareness. And you can ask people on the street, of course I'm aware of myself, but are you really though? Now, to be truly aware of yourself, you have to dig into those emotions and why you're feeling them, and you can't say I'm feeling them because someone triggered me. That's not the right answer. You can have that answer, but it's not going to move you forward in your life or in your spirituality and to know who you really are until you dig deep on why you're feeling these emotions. Because I think the ultimate goal is to be okay with yourself. One, sure, yeah, to know yourself, ultimately the truth, but also to see, understand, and have compassion for your emotions and not be triggered, not be swayed. We're gonna feel emotions. That's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal to feel things, but does it move you off of your center? Because if it does, then you have to take a good hard look into why. Because I think ultimately the thing is we don't want to be moved off of our center, because if we can anchor into a center of knowing that we are God, knowing that we are creators, knowing that we are the operant operant powder. If you want to be powder, I guess that'll work for you. But operant power, if you want to be that and know that, you can't be stirred by emotions. You can't be knocked off your center from your emotions. You have to be, like Bruce Lee says, like water, calm, going with the flow. Understanding though, from that same perspective, it's you going with the flow, and you realize you feel a certain emotion, but you have more awareness now of where the emotions come from, so you're not so gung ho to just react on them, and that's the important part. But a lot of people don't want to know themselves that deep, or they think they already know themselves as deep as they possibly can, and accept the emotions that they feel and that they're triggered from and react to as just a part of who they are. But it's not a part of who you are. It's a Your emotional guidance system is exactly that. It's a guidance system. So if you're feeling happy, that's good. I think we can react to the happy emotions, but also don't get too attached to the happy emotions, because once you lose those, then when the perceivably negative comes in, you're gonna be so attached to the happy feeling that you're gonna automatically be triggered, because you're like, where's the happy? I don't want to feel this. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joyous. What's all this negative emotion? Then you're gonna react. Your negative emotions are gonna have you by the nuts, basically. And if your emotions have you by the nuts, quote unquote, have you by the nuts, then you are not the operant power. Your emotions are, but your emotions are not you. It's tricky. We feel emotions. We have an emotional body. It's okay to feel them, but we have to process them. So if we're constantly getting triggered by something someone says, and the other person's not getting triggered, the other person's fine, you have to ask yourself, are they really triggering me? Is it something that are they really hurting me? Because no one can hurt you. Someone can be an asshole to you, yeah, but if someone's being an asshole to you and that's automatically giving you the right to, in your mind, to react, you gotta look deeper than that, man. You gotta look deeper, because it's all coming from within us. It's all coming from within us. If someone treats us like shit and we don't react, we have the power. Then we understand where the emotions that they're bringing forth is coming from, because we know who we are. When we understand our own emotions and what triggers us, we understand what triggers everyone else and why they come up with their own emotions. But we don't have to react towards their emotions, because we know how to react within our own emotions. We know that it's just passing, and that it's just a part of this life. We accept them with understanding. You see, I've been through many of times where I'll bring forth a perspective to someone and they immediately get triggered, and I'm the bad guy. I'm the one who's not understanding. I'm the one who's being this. I'm the one who's being that way. But they're the one reacting to my perspective. I'm coming at it with love. I'm not coming at it with hatred or anything like that. I'm not coming at it with I'm better than you. I'm not coming at it with you have to do this. No, I'm just coming at it with a perspective, but they can't grasp that perspective because their awareness is so limited. They haven't done enough deep diving on their emotions. They take their emotions as I have a right to feel this way. Okay. You have a right to feel that way. But if you're gonna react and think that everyone's doing something, it's not me and it's you, nah. It can't be. It can't be that. If you're getting emotional over something someone else said or done to you, it's coming from within you. I'm sorry. And I say this with love, because I've experienced that, and I've had to grow past this. I've had to muster up the awareness of this, of myself, to know that if it's coming from someone else and you feel an emotional pull within yourself, your body feels it. It's real, because your emotional body feels it. It's legit. It's coming from within you. You have something in you that is not healed, that has not been looked at with compassion, that has not been loved, and you take it as who you are. But I'm saying, if you want to be a conscious creator of your own life, you have to be aware of your thoughts and your emotions and what you're thinking about most feelingly most of the time. And if you don't know that, life is living you. We're always thinking ahead of what comes. We're always thinking ahead of the future, right? So whatever we think, it will show up in our future. Do you know what you're thinking about? Do you know what you're thinking feelingly about? And do you know what you're reacting to emotionally? Do you know? We have to know these things. We have to know ourselves like we know nothing else. We have to know ourselves the best we can because it's all we have. When you know yourself, you know spirituality. Because when you've done enough work on yourself and you've done enough, I say work, we don't need to be worked on. When we get rid of this, what I mean is getting rid of the things that aren't us. When we've done that, you realize who you really are, and that's source, that is spirit, that is light, that is God, that is creation, and the creator, that is the creator itself. But you can't know that until you know yourself. Because if you're always reacting, you're a victim. I hope this makes sense to you. You are a victim if you are constantly being reactionary to everything in your 3D life. This is a 3D virtual reality that we live in. This is nothing new. If you're watching this video, you know this. This is nothing new. But I'm reiterating it because if it's a virtual reality, we are the creators of it. But it comes from our mind. What are we thinking about? How are we feeling? We have to be aware of these things. And so that's why I think awareness is the single most important thing when you're trying to learn about yourself. It has to be awareness. Because if you're not aware, you're just not aware. You can't do nothing about that. If you're not aware, you're just not aware. But you have to work through those hard emotional feelings that you feel sometimes whenever you know that those things that trigger you, you have to work through those things. You have to. You can't just be triggered and go hide away for a week because you don't know how to deal with them. You go into solitude because someone told you and brought to you a perspective that didn't agree with your beliefs. That's what it is. That's how I excuse me, that's what I've experienced. Take a sip of water, sorry. When I bring forth a belief, not a belief, when I bring forth a perspective and someone gets triggered, that means it's clashing with the beliefs that they have. And they haven't done enough they haven't had culminated enough awareness of themselves to know that that's what's going on. They think it's just a jab and a shot at them. But what can you do for that? If they don't want to listen and they can't accept your perspective because it clashes with something deep in them that they haven't looked at, you can't do nothing for them. Life will prescribe that to them like it did me. But me trying to tell them what's going on, they have no awareness. So if they have no awareness of what's going on, then you can't. It's a brick wall, and you have to respect that, honor that, and still love them for it. Of course, it'll make communication a little tougher because you're coming at it from a whole different perspective because you've done the work on yourself, you've done the awareness work, you're super aware, and they're not aware of everything in their field. So you clash, and there's nothing that can be done with that unless you come down to their level. The Buddha was good at that. He would come down to people's level because he understood, right? But not everyone has that, or not everyone's perfect at that. I find the more I go on this journey of learning about myself and, spirituality of who you really are, I can come down on people's level, but only for so long because I've been through that already. And I'm no disrespect when I mean that. I've lived all these limiting things, I've lived all that. I don't want to connect on surface level things anymore. So I could stay here for a while and meet you where you're at. But the more I do the awareness work on myself, the more I'm more aware of who I am and everything around me and my life and how I want to see it. Because I'm working towards something in my own life, and that comes with my changed perspectives because of my awareness is so far removed from where it used to be and where someone else might be, that I can only stay there for so long, or else I start feeling I start feeling the repercussions of coming down, and I can't, for respect for myself, I have to remove myself from the situation, from that person, from a certain conversation, and it's unfortunate. And that is another thing life will make you grow through. Having friends who are not at a perspective that you're at, not in a level of awareness that you're at. But what can you do? You can't do nothing about it but be yourself. Be open. Be aware. Which we are. We're aware. This is what it's all about. It's awareness. That's what this whole video is about, is awareness. Be open and aware. and upfront with love, and that's all you can do. That's all you can do. You can't beat yourself up about it if you're not connecting to people anymore because of a rift, because you see something from a higher awareness. You've pulled back enough in your own life on your own self, and they've not done that same work, and there's nothing you can do except that you can accept it. That's it, and that's the best thing to do because that's the quickest way to get past all of that. And I found the more I work on myself, the more I can quickly get over those things, and it just be like the attitude of it. It just is what it is, you know. No disrespect to you, no disrespect to who I'm talking to, who hasn't done the awareness work, who hasn't had the perspective, the awareness. No disrespect to you, but respectfully, it is what it is. I can't see things differently. You can't see things differently because you've only done so much work on yourself. You've only dug so deep on your emotional body and your emotions, etc. Right? So that's it. But awareness, though, awareness is the most crucial thing in knowing yourself. It's the most crucial thing. You have to be aware of your emotions, what makes you tick, what makes you cry, what makes you angry, what makes you react, what makes you who you are, and what makes you who you aren't. It's crucial because once you start figuring these things out, you're tapping into who you really are. And that is from a level of consciousness that not everyone is at, but it's all about you. It's a personal journey, and that's the most important thing. Where are you at consciously? Because from you change the world with your consciousness, with your level of awareness and level of consciousness. You begin to change the world by being who you really are, and that is light, the light of God, the light of Source, the light of the Creator. But you can't change anyone else. So just be aware of yourself, what you're not, and that is the best, quickest way of moving forward in this journey we call life. Or else, don't be, or you cannot be aware and be reactive to things and play the blame game, play the victim game, and you'll be reborn into another body, still being that person. You don't lose nothing in consciousness. So this body dies. If you did no conscious work on yourself, you didn't work on your consciousness levels, you're going to be born again in the same exact consciousness, and we're going to try it again in another lifetime. So if you have culminated in awareness, and maybe you're still working on it, that's fine, but at least you've started. And that is a gift, and that is by grace. And my friend, you are levels ahead of the majority of people in this world. And I say that again from no disrespect or judgment of anyone else, but it's just a special thing when you've culminated in awareness of yourself, and you're wanting to raise your consciousness levels. That's by grace. Be thankful for that. Be thankful that you have started doing that. I'm grateful for that every day. I express gratitude for my level of consciousness and my level of awareness of myself every single day, because it makes me a better person. It makes me who I am, the best I can be. I've lived and experienced what I wasn't. Now that I know that I am what I am, and that is that I am, I spread that love and awareness to as many people as I can by just being who I am. And that is God personified, my friends. So, thank you for watching. That's all for today's video. Stay aware. Just stay aware of your thoughts and how you feel and what you're thinking about daily, moment to moment. Gather the enough awareness that you can see your emotions and see what you're thinking about at any given moment, because those things matter. Don't be the person who, when something in your 3D realm, your 3D projection happens to you it's a negative thing, and you don't start playing the blame game. Don't start being like, why me? Because it's coming from you, whether you know it or not. But we can know. We just have to know what we're thinking about, especially feelingly, at every given moment. If you don't know what it is, you might want to learn what it is. And if it's of negative rapport, you might want to change that, because your reality will change according to what you feel and what you think about. And so that's it. I'll leave you with that, my friends. Hope you've all had a great, wonderful day. I know I have. And until the next time, thank you for watching. Blessed be you all. Much love. Peace.